Hi. Jinx.
All right,
Wow.
chat.
Hi. Yeah. Let's do it.
I'm excited to get into it for this episode.
Me
That's for sure.
too. Yeah. I'm also excited because I feel like I'm going to resurrect the Instagram because I'm finally like getting meme ideas because things
Good.
are happening. You know, like things were happening, but they weren't happening. Like nothing that produced good dynamic images and quotes. But now we are getting there.
Of course.
We had a giant ear in this episode. We are killing it. We had men chugging milk from pitchers. Like it was better. But also, yeah, this episode, it was good, but it's also like, it was halfway through. We were about at the 9 p.m. mark watching it. And I was literally like, they're really going to put the whole rose ceremony at the end of this episode. This entire episode is about to be a single group date and Thomas drama. But then I also forgot about Blake. And so Blake's edition added more time. But either way, I was right. I can't believe this date or this episode was like so few things in 2 hours.
So I have not been spoiled. Like, I don't know who wins the season. I don't know who the final two are, final three, final four. Like, I don't know any of that information. But I am spoiled, air quotes, for the people not watching on YouTube, in the sense that I remember reading somewhere, I think it was on Twitter, because we've talked about the fact that I hate that, like, Twitter senses that I tweet about The Bachelor, so now I get,
and it tries to feed
Bachelor-related tweets, right, that from people I don't follow, things I don't necessarily want to know, and it's shitty, it's annoying. I've had to block a bunch of people for that exact reason. But I think I remember reading on Twitter from like one of those type of tweets that another reason why the producers were unhappy with Katie was because she kind of like blew through her season. So I think that this is their effort to stretch out. Because someone said that the outfit she was wearing when she met Blake was the outfit from the group date with Nick Viall.
Yes,
so like Blake was there.
Remember. Yeah, that I remember reading for sure, that they shifted the order of all of this, but this makes sense. And it's probably because, again, I mean, we now have Cody and Thomas sent home for like I guess Thomas wasn't sent home kind of out of nowhere, but like she's definitely seems like she's someone who's like, I will kick you out the second I'm ready to kick you out. Like, I don't need to wait for a rose ceremony. Right. I don't need to keep these people just to involve them in bullshit. So that would make sense that they're like, okay, we need to stretch it out. And also, I don't hate it because sometimes the fast-paced episodes where I'm like, holy shit, that was so much like kind of like last episode where I was like, I feel like that was a lot at once. I was like, all right, now we get the slower episode after the trauma dumping date and the grief date and the like all that. It was nice to have something that was literally classic for the wrong reasons bullshit. But I did post Blake's chart on our Instagram, and I will mention it when we talk about him. But thanks to Bachelor Horoscopes, we have his rising sign, which is dope because honestly, it makes a lot of fucking sense to me. He's a Virgo rising, so that's like the Virgo rising men especially are very interesting because it's so women tend to get the perfectionist label a lot, especially Virgo women, about this idea that like they have to be perfect and like line up and all that, and they are those neat freak nitty, like those types of people. But Virgo rising men, it's fascinating to watch the way they can like be really, really perfectionist sense, and it makes so much sense because of now like thinking about Claire and Tayshia's season with Blake, and the way that he was reacting to everyone there. Also, the way that he would have been reacting both his synastry with Claire and Tayshia, if he's a Virgo rising and a Pisces moon, which he is, that's fucking Claire and Tayshia have both those signs in their charts. Like, it's funny to me how, and in their big three, like both of them are Virgo sun, Pisces sun with Virgo moon, Pisces moon. Yeah. Like it's literally so. But anyway, Blake, yeah. We'll get there, but so yeah, this episode was chill. I mean, we had the group date. The group date was fun, but
chill,
but it was the repeat. It was literally a redo of
Tayshia's
date on Tayshia's, and it felt so like not like deja vu, but like Inception, that Tayshia was the one introducing that date to Katie. Like, I mean, honestly, I didn't hate it. Like, I kind of think this date format is funny. Also, this one was a lot better, I think. But the whole like take a picture of yourself to prove that you did it is.
But there's
so
camera
dumb.
crews following you around everywhere.
Exactly. I'm like, we're on television.
Like,
I know
a producer
that,
is not going to be like, check.
I know that Katie isn't the one. And also, as if they don't have a checklist for themselves where they all check each other off, whatever. But I was interested in the way that Tre was being focused on during this date, because I was watching it and I was like, because Tre kept, so we literally start off with Tre and Christian narrating the shit about Thomas, kind of updating us, right? Yeah. And they're just like, you don't go from wanting to be the bachelor and then falling in love with the bachelorette 3 weeks later. I know. And then he's just like, Tre. It's really funny because Tre is a Capricorn stellium. Tre's entire chart is essentially Capricorn and Scorpio, which is funny because Michael A is basically Taurus and Scorpio. Like that's like his whole difference. But with fucking Tre, he's a Capricorn Sun, Moon, and Mercury. And it's just like all of that is like the disrespect. He's like so bothered by Thomas, and
his energy is funny. Something else.
Oh yeah, he's like really interesting. And also we were all freaking out because when we realized he is like 26, he's not like he gives, or 25 or 26, he gives me such older energy, which is also extremely Capricorn. Like Capricorns age quickly when they're young, but then once they like hit a certain point, it's like they never age again. And so with Tre, it's just like, wow, you're 26. No wonder you're acting like this though. So anyway, we go on the group date.
Yes.
And it is Katie's Truth or Dare, blah, blah, blah. Did you see when they unveiled the tray of peppers, did you see how they had those poblanos on there too?
Yeah.
I was really, and the jalapenos, it was like poblano, jalapeno, like Fresnos, and then fucking the habaneros. And I was just thinking about it and I was like, dang, if only they could just sneak on one of those poblanos. That shit's not spicy at all.
No, it's so I did see that and I noticed it, and it's one of those things where it's like, so calling it back to my Chopped episode again, they gave us a tour of the pantry, and I remember being so frustrated because I'm looking at the produce and all I'm looking for is like usable corn, and they're like, well, no, we have to, like,
I remember.
Yeah, and like they had these fucking buckets and buckets and buckets full of ears of corn in the pantry, but they were purely for decoration and we were not allowed to use them like DQ, like we couldn't use them. So I saw that and I was like, that's them trying to make it look abundant, because like putting a bunch of habaneros on a plate would just looks, in my opinion, it wouldn't look stupid, but like for the photography of it all, like the art of it all, like it would look silly. But I saw that and I made the same note. I was like, come on.
Like it's at least on the last time, I'm pretty sure they didn't have the whole array of different peppers. Like, it's fine to just have a bowl of habaneros. They're bright and orange and pretty.
But you know what they should have done? They should have done, I know that shishitos aren't like crazy spicy, but it's like that statistic of like 1 in every 10 shishito is spicy. So if they just have like this like huge bowl of shishitos, some of them are bound to get a spicy one, but some of them might not. Like some of them might get off scot-free. Yes. And I know that defeats the purpose of the game and whatever, but like that would have been like shishito roulette.
It would have been good.
You know?
Well, also some of these boys, Greg, have clearly never eaten a spicy thing ever. And so it's like even a shishito probably would have been spicy to some of them. But yeah, that was very funny. So anyway, this is also peak Girl Squad moment. We have much more like Girl Squad binoculars, Girl Squad vibes, hanging all these women, the fucking Kate. It's so funny in my notes, I've started abbreviating Tayshia and Caitlin as just T/K.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah, because I was getting so tired of having to write
Tasha and Caitlin.
Like it's like so much typing for so little time.
It's true.
Anyway, this is where we have the different dates. The different challenges. It was like on these dares. I really only saw like 3 of them. It was like the food they had to eat, the massive plates of food.
Yes.
They had to do the talking dirty in the ear, and
whispering sweet nothings.
Yeah.
Which is not talking dirty. And that's what's so funny is like the men all took it that way, but that didn't.
Yep.
Whispering sweet nothings is not like dirty talk to me. That's not what I think
I also think it's so funny because I missed them saying the sweet nothings part, and I immediately was like, oh yeah, so they must have just said it's dirty talk because of the way
it was like the whispering sweet nothings. Men are annoying. Because that's what the whole point was, that it was a giant ear because they were like whispering.
Yep.
And it was just
right.
They were supposed to be whispering into the ear, which is why it was like so shocking and like, surprise, the women can hear you. Like, yeah.
Wow, that's okay. That makes sense.
Well, that makes it like worse for me because like Andrew S was
then
funny.
They fail it.
Like Andrew S was hilarious. I have weird feelings about this like reoccurring British accent that we've got. Like I am not really understanding why it keeps coming up.
I feel like it's one of those things that he knows is a funny little shtick for himself, that he also like, I know, God, this is going to sound so dumb, but like, I feel like for him probably living over there, maybe it is easier for him to put it on, and it's like
lives
easier
in Austria.
In that space. I know, but you could have any kind of accent in Austria, I'm sure. And it's like better than being American.
Sure. I guess.
Oh man.
It's funny to me.
I think it's funny that he keeps bringing it up.
Well, I told you that. Like there was the period where I was binging Love Island, and like it was during quarantine, so I wasn't talking to anybody. Like I heard nothing other than like 2 other people and then everyone from Love Island. And I started like thinking in a British accent, and it doesn't help that I've got like English family, so like it's not terribly foreign to me, but like I heard it. And so yeah, I wonder if maybe he just like watched a shit ton of Love Island UK before he came on the show, and it's just ingrained in his brain.
Like, no, for real, you're literally just thinking in all of the British
slang. In the slang, yeah. And like the accent and stuff, yeah.
Which is so fun. It's actually so much funnier watching people who are actually British because their accents are all over the place. Whereas America, we only mimic the very
like the Queen's English
British people. Yeah.
Andrew S.
Yep. But yeah, he was funny. I think, did I write anything of what he said down? No,
I did.
But tell me.
I mean, not like verbatim, but I made so his was the ones where he's like, I want you to tell me where you like being touched, and then we'll go into the shower and we'll watch the suds roll down your body. And like Tasha and Caitlin are like, like gasping for air.
God. Horny.
I just
trying not to be actively horny for Katie's men. But yeah. I honestly, as far as sweet nothings versus dirty talk, I feel like that is the closest line to toe with Andrew S. Like, it's dirty, but it was
like a romantic, like intimate touching, dirty, right? As opposed to fucking the 50 States of Greg,
which Greg like continues to prove to me that he is just a boring man. Like,
I'm gonna hear him saying deep over and over again for the rest of my life. No. I can't get it out of my head, and I hate it.
No, you know that I feel like I know exactly what this man is like when he's drunk. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, you are the kind of guy who has his like 5 jokes that he says when he's wasted, and then otherwise it's just like giggling at everybody else and just like trying to hit on you weirdly. Like, I just see that as Greg. It's just, I don't know. He's very boring.
Imagine
I don't know.
Greg drunk,
I can't help it.
Like that. Like, I think the way that he was talking to the ear is what he's like when he's drunk.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly puts on a fake what
accent,
I mean.
And he just like talks a whole bunch of fucking nonsense, and his friends laugh him up.
It's so stupid. But anyway, so Greg, does all these fucking states. And then, and they wax each other. That's the other thing, too.
Yeah.
I was like, what is the other thing?
I want to make a note about
please
this
tell me this
because,
moment.
So, for a few things. So, the dare was to wax the hairiest part of someone's body, right? So, like, I'm assuming you don't have producers necessarily checking your body for, like, what is the hairiest part. So, like, you just have to volunteer a part.
Just choose.
And I will say this. It may seem counterintuitive that Tre chose his ass. But that is probably, for your first time, one of the least painful places to be waxed. Like I said, I know it's counterintuitive. Yeah. I know that you think you're thinking like, that's fucking crazy. It's my ass. Like, of all the places to choose from,
so
there are much more. There are areas with much more delicate skin than that it would hurt a lot more. So, good thinking, Tre. Good thinking.
And clearly, I also thought that too. Where I was watching this, I was like, Tre is smart too for choosing his ass because, A, voluntary nudity will do you some good on the show. B, but like it's also like no one is gonna like look at the weird random waxed spot on you, and obviously they're on the show, but half of those men on that day got eliminated later. So you know what I mean? Like you gotta go home with a weird wax strip,
one section of your leg missing hair. Yeah,
it's just. And I know that, and it will take a while, especially for men who have never waxed. It will definitely take a while for it to look normal in whatever spot they have waxed.
It's going to grow in patchy,
so that being said,
that's just the nature of the business.
Picking the picking the booty was smart. In that for that regard too, of just like, okay, don't have to look at a weird place, but also, like there's like way less, there's way more fat, way less like all that stuff on your ass to just wax off. It's much better, but men aren't ready for the pain of beauty, okay?
We're tougher than you.
We fucking go through that shit, men, even though I've never been waxed, TBH.
Well, okay, so my second thing about Tre, which I loved, I sent this to you, and then I got upset because I tried to get a screenshot with the captions, and listeners, the captions were wrong. The captions were wrong, definitively, because
go back and watch. Go back and watch, and it's
the moment
I watched the clip too.
The moment that Tre gets his ass waxed and Christian rips it off, he's about to turn off. And Christian rips it off. Tre actually screams out peaches. He screams out his safe word. And the caption has him screaming out, be gentle. And I can understand where the captions would get confused. But he very legitimately yelled out gentle. Peaches. Yeah. And if you remember, maybe you don't, maybe you do, from the episode where they were talking about being the greatest lover, when Tre was playing with the puppets, he made sure to let the audience know that his safe word was peaches.
Peaches. So he wasn't
lying.
He was, and he and I do love that because it's authentic without like it seems forced to be like it's the same thing. I'm doing the same thing, but it also seems funny that it's like, no, I'm thinking about that other date we were on where it was funny that I did this, and he knows how to get some screen time.
I genuinely am convinced that maybe it is his safe word. Like maybe he's had the conversation with someone before that like my safe word is peaches, and it's just stuck. Who knows?
That would be funny. But
it was just too perfect.
So, but then did you catch all of the different food that they had to eat? All those big plates? Because I have it written down. It's so funny. The chocolate cake, the big fettuccine, the mashed potatoes, and the Twinkies.
I remember the fettuccine and the Twinkies. I don't remember the cake or the potatoes.
Oh, it was a massive thing of chocolate cake, and then it was very quickly the mashed potatoes and gravy at the end. But of those four, a giant chocolate cake, massive plate of fettuccine Alfredo, mashed potatoes and gravy, or Twinkies. What would you rather eat? Olive.
The chocolate cake is out for me because I fucking hate chocolate.
Same. I love chocolate, but chocolate cake, it's like so dense and so rich that I'd want to like vomit by the end of it. Like, no.
But I think that I could probably, I would probably enjoy the mashed potatoes and gravy the most, but I genuinely think that if push came to shove, I would have inhaled that plate of Twinkies. I could have gotten those down like no fucking problem. I could have eaten all of those Twinkies in a sitting and then been like, okay, so now can I have the pasta?
So yeah, so you wouldn't have been like Mikey counting each Twinkie calorie?
I was rewatching for screenshots and I saw Mikey say he hasn't eaten a carb in 7 years, and I'm like, that's either not true. That's either not true or like you got really bad advice from somebody.
Yeah. Like, and no wonder it looks like he's like aging. He's like 35 over his 31 year. Like he's way further ahead. Like, you know what I mean? He looks older than he is with this face. But I was screaming over that shit. But I know what you mean. I feel like I also could inhale the Twinkies just because of like, if you're thinking about just like food proportionately, like of the different things.
Twinkies
like,
are mostly air.
That's like, yeah, and it's like, like they're smaller. It's
right.
like
you could like smush down a Twinkie. Whereas, like, what do you think about like the density of a Twinkie, right, versus the density of these other items? I could like sandwich 5 of those Twinkies into one bite. That fettuccine, however, though, is like an already like dense, creamy food. Also, and this is like basic 101 is you never want to be like active or like running around or doing things after eating a shit ton of pasta with any kind of cream sauce. It's just like bad vibes, fam, bad vibes.
So they were all eating this food like champs, though. Good for them.
Sure. And Greg was being like spoon fed. Greg literally had someone feeding him the pasta.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Greg is just like, look, I just don't want a man who can't handle all of the. I understand watching this now, because if I were Katie watching all of these men scramble around doing this, I would have also been like, Greg, come on, like, because even they were like all turned off by Greg.
Well, especially during that Sweet Nothings thing.
Yep. Exactly. Anyway, but then we get into that Pepper proposal, and I swear it's the same fucking ring. And there's not really much that we see, but Greg says he loves her in the proposal. Like, he's like sobbing from the habanero. Like, seriously, this white boy has never touched a seasoning. He has never eaten a pepper like that.
I want to give him the
granted, they're making those
and pretend like maybe he has bad acid reflux or something. Like maybe Greg gets bad heartburn, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
But because this proposal,
and I get they had to eat 2 of those.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I said they had to eat 2 of those peppers, which is insane.
It is.
When I get a habanero for some, like I have this one recipe for work that I'll use with a habanero in like a sauce, and I literally slice like half of a sliver off of it for this recipe, and that's enough because habanero is insane. So 2 of them, seeds and all, no, fuck that. I also would have been dying, but it was just really funny watching Greg just like literally, it was basically sobbing. But then he's freaking out so much about the pepper that's why he's like, oh, I love you and I just love you so much. And Katie then is like peak simp in the fucking interview, like, it counts.
Well, so Katie's ITM interview after this is a prime example of why these kind of challenges, why these kind of dares, dates, whatever, are a very dangerous game, because at the end of the day, like, he's following the assignment. Like, I'm not saying that Greg doesn't have feelings for her. He probably does. But, like, any of those men could have said, I love you, because, like, you typically tell the person you're proposing to that you love them when you're proposing. That seems pretty standard. If your proposal doesn't include an I love you, like, I would feel like something wasn't right. So, like,
I agree.
For all intents and purposes, like, Greg might not love her and he's just, like, following the prompt, you know? and she's like all excited about it, and like that's very telling because it's clear that she wants him to feel that way. But like, it's a dangerous game because you don't know. I don't know.
Yep. I agree that it's like it should be included in the proposal, but it's like wild that at least they didn't show it if any of the other men did, right? But it's like in that moment it is just so funny on The Bachelor. Anytime anybody utters the love word, it's just like whoop whoop,
like all the
they never say
alarms
it,
go
so when
off,
they do,
like,
yeah, exactly, like, oh, here we go. Anyway, but then that's and then Tre gets this, like, they show Tre's full proposal too. They were really giving Tre the like lift up on this, and it
was
makes
his
sense
time to
because of the
shine.
night portion. Yeah, but it's so funny because during this whole thing, I was genuinely like, Tre is really like getting this. Is he gonna get? I thought someone else was gonna get the rose, and it was gonna be like a Tre moment, being annoyed about that. But no, I understand now, like, how it happened. It made sense how they laid it out.
I feel like if they didn't show him shining during the like day portion of this group date, he would not have come off as sympathetic to the audience, especially up against someone like Andrew S, who's just been so lighthearted and so fun. And if like Andrew S is telling you to mind your business, and then we have Tre, who we've never seen on the screen before, like fighting him, then like Tre loses the sympathy aspect so quickly. So you have to like make him likable. You have to like make him so that I don't think they had an option, given the fact that like by the domino effect, he was a key player in Thomas leaving. Because if he doesn't bring that up, then Katie doesn't have that moment with Thomas at the rose ceremony, and then whatever. So you like it had to be Tre's coming out episode. It had to be. Yeah. There's no other option.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. Even though it's funny, I actually, when it comes down to the Andrew S versus Tre, or really Andrew S versus, I guess, any of them, I am on everyone's side. I think everyone was correct in that moment, but also Andrew.
I want to talk about this person to person.
Yeah. Okay. So,
like how you feel about it?
Oh, about the. Well, I mean, I hope that Andrew S doesn't get like axed later on, like led down a path of like 2-on-1. Like, I hope that because I know that it seems like it's dramatic for him to like yell or get a little heated about, not feeling like he wants to disrupt things, but he's fucking right. Like, that was my thing watching all of this, is I was literally sitting there applauding him as he's talking. I'm like, wow, he's so smart. He knows that, like, yes, because when Katie came to sit down at the night portion and they all kind of like talked to her, and one of them said eventually, like, yeah, and we knew that you would have the intuition to figure it out anyway. We just wanted to help, like, to give you the information. That's kind of what Andrew S was saying. He was like, I think that, we shouldn't bring it up because it takes away our time, and drama in the house fucks with everything, when I think she will sniff that out on her own. But I also think that that's wrong. Because I think that she seemed pretty
keen on Thomas,
into Thomas. I feel like he wouldn't have probably made it, like, because she was talking about how she thought that she would take him to hometowns. But I feel like if he kept pulling his bullshit, that he probably wouldn't have made it that far anyway. But he would have made it maybe an episode or two longer, and it would have been annoying. But like, Andrew S is the sentiment behind what Andrew S was saying, I completely agree. Like, yes, you should not go wasting your time tattling on someone else. However, Tre did the tattle smart, and also Katie was the one who did a really good tattle to Matt. So in this scenario, it's not exactly bad in her eyes is what he's doing, hence why he got the reward for it. Like, she did it, so she's like, oh yeah. And also because of the Carl thing, she probably is very on edge about wanting people to be there for the right, for the right reasons. And so she's like very intense about it. And I mean, she's nothing but a fucking earth sign. She is consistent, okay, with the messaging. She wants to get engaged.
See, it's
for
interesting
the right
you say
reasons.
that, because I feel like this is... I know that the men said it. I can't remember if we saw it or not, but I know the men said that she said for them to just trust her. Like, trust me, like, I will, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like I said, I don't remember seeing her say that. I believe that she would say something like that, and one of the men definitely said that she said that, which is why Andrew S. was like, she wants us to, like, leave her be. Not leave her be, but, like, whatever. So it's interesting that you would say that she's consistent, because I would then assume that the messages are getting mixed, because then she's rewarding Tre for tattling and saying that she does want the men to share this information.
Yeah.
So I just don't know.
Point. I think that the way Tre did it, I think the way Tre did it was better. Like, he, because he sat down and he was like, I really enjoyed the day today, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've always been truthful since this whole part was this section of the date was truth, just like in Tasha's season. He was like, I feel like I've been truthful and vulnerable from the start. There are things happen, la, la, la. And he's like, there are things happening in the house that I want to let you know. And he's really leaning into, like, it being about truth and it being about for her and all that. And but I honestly think if Thomas hadn't said that shit about wanting to be the Bachelor, which is basically like the fucking biggest no-no to ever state ever, that you would ever consider being a lead, I don't give a shit. We all think about it. Yes, you're being correct and logical, Thomas, in saying it. Like, yeah, sure. You're honest. Yes, everyone thinks about it, but we all know you don't say that shit on the show. And so I think that was like the biggest trump card ever. And there was no way Tre wasn't at least going to stick around from it because of that. I think that unless Katie was truly a simp, but she at least figured it out by the end. All the men are so hyper focused on protecting her. And they keep saying this shit over and over to them. Very masculine idea of, we have to protect people we care about. And it was Mikey doing the same thing at the rose ceremony. Oh, we're just wanting to protect you. Like,
well, that's the issue that I had with Mikey, like, saying the thing at the rose ceremony.
Too, it's like, cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I appreciate you guys wanting to look. If I was in her position, I'd be like, I appreciate you guys wanting to look out for me, but, like, please, like, I've got this. Please, if I want your help, I'll ask for it.
Yeah.
But it's just, the whole situation is really bizarre to me, additionally, because we've been conditioned as fans of this franchise to the tattler gets punished. Like, you mind your business or else. So it's, like, crazy when you think that Andrew S. was minding his business and telling the other men, like, mind your business. And the other men are like, you want us to mind our business? What? And it just seemed so, like, counterintuitive to me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I agree, and I just hope that I wish that it wasn't like Andrew S. and Tre and all that. I'm like, oh God, it's just so annoying that it has to be about all this shit. But whatever. I at least think that she likes Andrew S. enough and isn't really gonna see all that Andrew S. bullshit. You know what I mean? So, because I think he's going to try very hard not to show it. But it was very funny to me to watch him be the Aquarius person who's just like, if we just aloof, like we don't need to address it. Air sign, just like avoid. But he also has a Virgo moon, just like Katie. And so it's, for me, I'm just like, I feel like he kind of gets it, where he's like, I don't think she needs this thing. Like, I think she will be able to discern that information, which she probably, again, would have. But anyway, whatever. So she ends up, freaking out to producer, saying that she feels like Thomas was lying. Tre comes back, and this is when Andrew S. and him kind of have their little blow up. But I think it was funny watching them kind of yell, because they have these two sides of the Saturn dynamic of, like, Tre being the Capricorn person and Andrew being the Aquarius person. Aquarius person is first of all the odd one out as far as the opinion goes. He's the one person with the opinion of, like, hey, we shouldn't say anything. But Tre is doing all of this because of the whole idea that it's like disrespectful to everybody involved. And honestly, he's more right, because at least in the scenario for Katie, because Katie is the Capricorn too, and she also has a really big, she really also wants to be respected.
Sosa agrees.
I love Andrew S. Yeah, he's like, you guys don't want drama, but you spark it, which
I mean,
true, but they're also all being goaded by the producers.
It's interesting because I feel like Katie has added sympathy for Tre, because like you said, like she did kind of tell Matt James, like she did have her own little tattle moment, and I feel like she knows that if she were to demonize or villainize like any of the men who brought something to her attention, regardless of how true it was, it would be pretty hypocritical. And like maybe you grow and you change and you learn things, and like new perspective, new position, whatever. But it's like Andrew S has a point where it's like, you don't want this drama, and like you're bringing this drama to light. Like there doesn't need to be this drama. This doesn't have to be the narrative, but you are making it the narrative by talking about it like this. Yeah. So, I mean, that's exactly what Serena said to her.
True. Wow, good point. Wow, how the turntables.
Because Serena was like, you don't have to talk about this. Like, there was no drama until you brought the drama to his attention, and now there's drama.
Right.
Then I'll take this opportunity to talk about my favorite part of the night portion, and that was during her one-on-one time with Andrew.
Yes.
And Andrew had a big cloche, a beautiful big silver cloche, and he lifted the cloche to reveal a Matt James style charcuterie board of Taco Bell, turkey, and cheddar Lunchables. What's funny is I saw this board and I knew each of these items by name, like no hesitation. Like it was very clearly the turkey and cheese Lunchables, Taco Bell. And then we had the Sour Patch Kids, and then the Sour Punch Straw like bites.
I love
in the big bag.
Those.
And honestly, that's my favorite dinner.
That was honest. That looks delicious. There was nothing. I literally, y'all, I ate Taco Bell today because I was craving Taco Bell after watching her eat it. Literally, the bag is on the floor.
And I just had the Sour Punch straws
it's
recently.
literally art. Like So I loved that too.
Andrew S just has amazing taste.
He's really sweet. Like I think that his intentions are also good with the whole I don't want to tell her thing. Like that's good. Like he wants her. He trusts that she's making a better, like good decisions, and I think that's great. I would want nothing more in a man. Good for him. Plus, again, his sweet nothings were great. Yep.
Hilarious.
And then also there was a quick night portion moment of Greg, but it was literally just talking about how he has a weak stomach. And I was like, no fucking surprise, dude. That makes a lot of sense. Now. Well, also another thing about that too is apparently also he's a Taurus rising, Greg, which like, oh my God, of course he is, because earthy, of course, why Katie's so into him. But and also Taurus rising men just drab, and also a Venetian men being like all of these women freaking out over him when he just does nothing, yet he's just like a Taurus rising man. But that being said, it's funny because I will always forever have the theory that Taurus people, and obviously yes, Taurus gets all of the food memes and stuff online and shit, but generally Taurus people like have something that they're weird about with food and eating, like either a certain kind of food or texture they don't like, or weird habits.
We've talked about my very picky cousin before.
Picky eaters. And so him being like, I have a weak stomach and I never eat spicy food. Yeah, it was just makes a lot of sense with the Taurus rising. Also, her Mars being in his first is like, no wonder she wants to fuck him. God. Katie is nothing but horny.
I don't get it, man.
Katie truly
it.
proves the horniness of Earth signs. Okay, y'all. Like, y'all never doubt a Earth sign and how horny they are at every moment, because it's intense.
You have like Tyler Cameron looking Christian right there.
Oh my God! And she sent him home, and Christian seemed
devastated,
fine, like as a person, decent, but he was very pretty. Like, and of course, he was getting so many.
He was pretty.
He was getting so many Instagram followers.
the moment that he whacks Tre's ass is when you know that he's like actually funny though. Like he's like
Yeah.
singing him a little song about it. Wait,
But
so okay,
anyway.
never mind.
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say. I mean,
Nope.
she gives Tre the rose, and then Andrew S says something that is actually fascinating to me when I was thinking about the astrology. And I don't know if you listened. It was his last little thing. It was right before a commercial. He said something about I have it slight paraphrase, but it's pretty close. Where he says, and having people control your relationship, that gives me a bad feeling. And I don't think it was like control your relationship. It was like having someone have that control, aka someone who can easily just tell you something about someone else, and then it's like, oh great, well, I'm kicking him off. And it's not to say Andrew S thinks that she should be with Thomas, but it's also like Andrew S having that brief moment of being like, well, no, I don't want anyone to control the relationship I have with her. Like, I don't want anyone to be able to tell someone that about what I'm doing and then it make her change what she thinks about me. And it's funny because he's a Sagittarius Venus, and that idea is like, he's like, because he obviously isn't doing anything. Like he can't go out and like run around and cheat on her or run around and like do anything because he's on this, like they're all there. But it's like he's kind of like, I don't want anybody else to have this power. And it's really true and it's funny because she's again earth sign, and Tre the Capricorn, like Capricorns are all earth signs have a certain level of control that they really want to enact, but like Capricorns are really intense about it in relationships because they really want their plans to work out with these people. So they really want to control the situation so that it like becomes that, like they really. And so it's fascinating watching Tre. It's actually, oh my God, wait, very similar Capricorn stellium man, Jed, Jed. But do you remember at all at the end so top four, it's him, Peter, Tyler, and Luke P still, and he uses part of his fucking fantasy suite date to tell Hannah that like it would be really hard for him if she kept Luke because it shows like a different, like he was trying to make this argument of like, I don't like that guy, he's bad for you, and he was using the same tactic as Tre to control how their relationship goes via controlling someone else's relationship, and not at all comparing Tre as a person to Luke P, because Luke P is a shithead and he deserves everything he got in that season. But it's just like interesting watching how Capricorns can work in that sense, because again, both of them had Hannah and Katie's heart in mind, but it's like Capricorn's trying to stay one step ahead instead of just trusting that their partner knows what's up. And that's the difference between the Aquarius, aka Andrew S, and also Tyler Cameron. Oh my God. And also Tyler Cameron, Aquarius, just being like, well, if she's keeping Luke, then I just trust her, Like it's totally different vibes of knowing what they have and being confident. But wow, what a comparison.
Well, it's interesting when you think about it. Very great comparison. But it's fascinating to also think about it in the sense of like, one, you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, or you can tell me whatever it is that you feel about the person that I'm falling for, the person I'm in love with, like the person I like whatever it may be. If I like them enough, I'll like take what you say with a grain of salt, but like that will not be the end all be all for me, because like my feelings for that person are strong enough where like I'm going to do my own, you know what I mean? So the fact that she was so willing to believe the worst in Thomas is not a good sign for their relationship, period. So like no love lost there. But also like, she's in an incredibly vulnerable position because of what just happened with Carl, because of all the weird bullshit with Aaron and Cody that like, what even was that? You know what I mean? Like she has made it very clear that her whole thing is like for the right reasons. But it's also, she's clearly very scared. Like for as confident as she wants to be, as confident as she wants to come off, it's hardcore. An insecurity that comes with like, are these people here for me? And like they're just kind of perpetuating this and like taking advantage of this. And this is why I didn't like the unionization play. Like I liked it, but like I didn't like it because if I was in her situation, I'd be like, you all need to calm the fuck down. This is my journey. This is not Like, and it's crazy because I had the opposite argument because I firmly believe that like Maddie had a point when Maddie was like, it's also my story. Like, just because you're the lead doesn't mean this like isn't my life too. Like, I supported that. But like in the scheme of the show, this is Katie's journey and you are all the contestants. Like, it is up to her. So like for you guys to continually try to like weed men out for her, it's just like, I have mixed feelings about it. Like, I like it. It's great. It's entertaining, but like it also leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. Because like, know your role.
And I hope that she ends up with someone like Andrew S, who's like, I agree that like she doesn't deserve any of this bullshit, blah, 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 but like, hey, the fuck.
She's an adult. Like, she's a grown woman.
Fucking grown
and if she likes him, she likes him. Sucks for us.
Yep. But whatever. Anyway, this is when we cut out of the date vibe and we get into Katie and Tayshia talking. And it's funny because at first I completely like my brain fully forgot about the Blake thing almost until she sits down and she's like, I thought she was going to talk about the date. And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, duh. She's like, got to intro Blake. And she's like, someone from my past is here and asked my permission.
Which I will say that I genuinely thought that Katie was narrating that. Like when we heard that voiceover, I did not realize that was Tayshia. I don't remember ever seeing Tayshia's face say it. Like, I swore that it was Katie. Yeah, I thought it was Katie voicing over that someone from her past was coming. And I was like, what? Blake is from her past? Like, what the fuck? But now it's all very clear. It makes much, much, much more sense.
This all is, it definitely, the timeline tracks much more. So she says, she hypes him up. She's like, he's totally for the right reasons. He's so into you. I think you'd be great. So obviously Katie pulls the whole, well, I have relationships here that are great. And I'm like, girl, how are you surprised? You were, well, she wasn't there whenever Heather Martin came, but she was there when all the other 5 women came on Matt's season. So it's like, girl, how are you surprised? How are you surprised? Like, you should know that they're going to drop someone in. But honestly, this was a good situation for her because it seems like they're going to hit it off at least with a little bit. And I actually don't hate it, especially after seeing their charts together. I'm like, that's kind of cute.
I like them together.
I don't like Blake really, but like seeing him next with near Katie, I'm like, this is at least fine. But anyway, we get the whole we finally get their story.
I honestly think that if he was introduced on this season and this was his first season, I would be like, I'm not necessarily a fan of his, but I really like him for her. But the fact that like even Katie said, like, this is now his 3rd Bachelorette, and he was so sure that he was into Claire, and then so sure that he was into Tayshia after Claire left. And it's just like, I'm inclined to not believe you.
Are you not so sure that you want to be
a pattern of behavior?
Yeah, it's like
is so hard to ignore.
You so sure that you want to be? You so sure you want to be on TV, Blake?
Right. He's a Leo, isn't he?
But apparently, yes, he fucking is. With the Pisces moon, so they love the drama and glamour. But he reached out to her via DM while her season was airing, which doesn't surprise me. And honestly, he probably reached out to her because I bet you money that he also was like, oh, she'll be on Paradise because she left so early. Like, most people didn't have any thought that she would be a Bachelorette.
I think that he reached out because he genuinely was interested. I don't doubt that. I don't think that he was like going to be on The Bachelorette. Like, I think that he genuinely was like, oh, I could get along with her. So I buy it. I believe it. I think his motives are,
but at least it wasn't okay. Well, her mentioning the DM made me be like, oh, okay, because it's like, all right, at least there was like shown interest other than just showing up, being
he like, tried one, Katie,
and she's like, I've never met you.
Right.
So she yeah, she mentions that shit about being the third bachelorette, which is hilarious. To me, she tells him about the stuff in the house that's kind of been a struggle and seems really hesitant. And so she basically just tells him, like, I'll tell you later. But he says, he's like, if we end this up, we're engaged. He just like says it. He's like, I will be there for you if we hit it off. Like, I think we will. He's very, very sure of it. Actually, though, I saw on Jess of Chatty Broad Story, shout out Jess, other Jess, not our Jess, but she posted about how she was like, oh, I remember, and I remember this too, when she was recapping Matt's season, how she was like, I would love to see Katie and Blake Moynes together. Because remember how Blake made the penis sculpture?
Yeah.
Yep. And all that stuff, and is apparently obsessed with sex, super open about it. Like, that would have made a lot of sense. So it is kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, she sends him off and goes to talk to him later. And then this is essentially just where it's like the Thomas show from here on out.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, Katie talks to Keisha. To Keisha. There we go. Tasha and Caitlin. Katie talks to Keisha, and Caitlin is like, well, one way to be not there. It is actually funny to watch this because they always, the producers reference things like this as girl talk when the women are talking to each other. But this really did seem like that because Caitlin and Tasha were both just like, ew, like, fuck that. Basically, like, fuck that guy. That's the worst. Like, talking about Thomas. And Caitlin, that's when she's like, well, the one way not to be the Bachelor is to say you want to be.
I mean, and that's kind of why I would have given him some slack. Like, this may be an unpopular opinion. I don't like Thomas necessarily, but like, he seems like if he's smart enough to like, okay. All of the men kept saying Thomas is such a good talker. Thomas is such a good talker. He's so manipulative. He can talk his way out of anything. He's a smooth talker, whatever. I will also say he's a real estate broker. That's literally his job, is to talk people into buying shit. So like, I get it, I guess. But it's like, he has to be smart enough to know that once that's put out that he's there to be the Bachelor, he's never, ever, ever going to be the Bachelor. So like, him admitting that kind of is, I don't want to say it's like a redemption arc, but like, it's him acknowledging, like, I'm saying this now and I logically know that it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you really did, if you were there, anyone with half a fucking brain who is actually there to be the Bachelor would be doing what Tre is doing, would be doing what the rest of the men are doing, and trying to play the good guy angle. Whereas Thomas is like, yeah, I had that thought. Clearly that's no longer an option because no one's going to like want me to be the Bachelor now that I'm saying this, but like, I'm being honest with you. And not that he's not a manipulator, not that there's not 1,000,005 red flags, but like the way that this went down, I was just like, come on, kids, wake up, like open your eyes.
No, it's again back to what I was saying where I'm like, it's absolutely like, it absolutely makes sense, Thomas, that you thought all these things before you got here. Sure. But it's like, if you really want to be the Bachelor, you should have been watching other seasons knowing that this is not how you be the Bachelor. Like,
well, that's my point, though, is that I don't think that he wanted to be the Bachelor anymore, or else he wouldn't have said that. If his intention was to still be the Bachelor, he wouldn't have been dumb enough to say that. Like, he's clearly not as an idiot. He might not be like the smartest, but like his ability to smooth talk and manipulate shows that he's like not. He can read people and he understands human behavior and human interaction. Like, there's clearly some intelligence there. So him admitting that, I think, is his admission that he no longer intends to be the Bachelor because he has to know that that's no longer an option once he says that.
Yeah. I also do think, too, that I think he isn't necessarily, he's like talking and like almost as if he doesn't remember what he was saying days ago or something. Like, it's like the way, and I guess he references all this stuff, but it's the way he talks around himself is crazy to me. And watching him gaslight Katie is also wild because, like, yeah, I understand the men, you know, it's like, we've literally been shit talking how they're like, oh, protect, but also like, it is jarring to watch someone get gaslit so well and annoy. And back to Thomas is
Right.
good at that, and it's so scary because it's like the way that he goes to talk to Katie, he is like, first of all, the new word. I love how many people. I love how every season people create words because like they don't know words. And he said, remember, did you catch him say
Demonstra. Yeah, whatever it was.
demonstrize, as in basically like I've made it. I'm sure he's like trying to be like they're making me out to be a demon,
Right.
but he comes at it from this angle of like they're bashing my character, and I'm not going to sit back and instead of just addressing what's being said. And I guess I understand why you have to do that, but it's like then she asks, did you ever possibly think of being the Bachelor? And he's okay, not gonna lie, I feel like this is the most Gemini shit because, and also he's ruled by Saturn as an Aquarius rising, and where he goes, I would sign something saying right now that the only reason I'm here is for you. And it's just like, I don't feel like that was the right answer. Like, that was not a good thing to say. And I think he's an idiot for thinking that, like, him being like, yes, I can clinically sign this, instead of actually telling her, like, he's been telling her bullshit the whole time, and he doesn't even have more bullshit to spew at her about her at this moment. Because then she even says, she's like, you say things exactly as I want to hear them. And he's like, I mean it. I see something real. And it's like, again, just a lot of nothing. I just don't.
Well, no one's saying he's a good guy. Like, no part of me is sitting there saying that I think that Thomas is like super genuine and amazing and like such a nice guy and he's misunderstood. But I do think that all of those men, that was a witch hunt of the most obvious degree. Because as we said last week, like, there's not a single one of them that did not consider being the Bachelor, or like did not consider that, oh my God, like I hope, because I feel like it's really not so crazy to assume that the thought, even the most earnest of them, was like, I really do hope I fall in love with her. Like, I hope she likes me. And like, worst case scenario, maybe I'll be the Bachelor, but like, I hope I fall in love with her. I hope she likes me too. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's like a pretty okay perspective to have. I'd be a little concerned if you didn't have that perspective going on a TV show. But that's what upsets me is like,
no, but it's about
the minute he admitted it, I think that he went about it a really wrong way. But I think that what he said initially in the group therapy thing was not untrue. Like, I think that I don't think it was genuine. I don't think he was ever going to fall in love with Katie. I think that his idea of the prize shifted, and it was like a game to him and a competition to him. And like the first place trophy was different. And he now viewed like winning Katie as the prize as opposed to being the Bachelor. So like there's a whole other thing there. But like I said, the second that he admitted that he thought that was him saying that I no longer want that. Or else he wouldn't have said it.
Right.
I don't think he's that stupid.
No, I'm with you, but it's like but he also is that stupid because it's like the way he went about all of it was not like he didn't. And this is the plight of the Cancer Mercury, which by the way is confirmed.
He just made the mistake of not being a better manipulator.
Was correct.
That was his fuck up. That he wasn't as good of a manipulator as he expected to be.
Right. Yeah, and he didn't have the right. I mean, he just didn't have the right defense for himself, and that's what happens when you're a Cancer Mercury and really Cancer placements in general. If you can't defend yourself properly, you're done, and that sucks. But whatever. Anyway, this is where. There's your one Connor B moment of the night. Did you catch it?
No, I didn't see Connor B on my TV at all last night. Actually, funny enough.
There was one brief moment of him where it's clear that they're kind of telling him or telling them about the whole thing. And it's like it's basically while Thomas is talking to Katie and all the other men are waiting for the cocktail party to start. Connor B says that he was like the most Pisces bullshit. He says, I liked Thomas, but I was confused. And now that confusion has a reason. Just like, and I'm just like, buddy, A, that was called your intuition, and B, you can't just change how you're feeling. Like, it's so funny watching me like, now I have to don't like him because everybody else around me is not liking him. I know. I was wondering if you
for fucking
caught
ever.
that.
No, I must
moment.
have blacked out.
Yeah. He'll be on Paradise though. Don't you worry.
I hope not. I really fucking hope not.
Anyway, so Thomas, his last final thing was, these guys want to paint me into something that I'm not, but they don't know my heart and see the way I look at you. And that's why he's like, that's why I'm here. When I see you, I run to you. Cancer Mercuries are so fucking flowery, and for what? Like, it's so silly. But like, then he goes back into the men, and they all mention that it's midnight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like it's very jarring when they mention a time of day at all? Because again, this whole Bachelor world, it's just like day, night. But like every time they're like, dude, it's when they mention, they're like, dude, it's midnight. I was like, oh my God. Like, I wonder how long they actually were sitting there. They probably start filming not long after dark just to like get the most out of the darkness and being able to just film all night. So I wonder, they probably sat there at least 4 hours or something, which is fucking crazy. Like, what? Either way, no matter what, they had to wait forever. Andrew S basically is like, told y'all the drama was gonna ripple. And then this is when they all kind of like start bickering with each other before she comes in. But then Thomas, she straight up is like, Thomas, I'm sorry you feel ostracized by the house. And it's just like, it was again jarring because the gaslighting at that point had kind of worked. But then again, also the rest of the conversations that night is like basically all of the men talking to her about Thomas, except for Michael A, who is so smart because he's like, when everyone is like arguing about Thomas, Michael A is literally like, you know, this argument, this tension, essentially, he said, he didn't say tension, but he's like, this doesn't exist without Thomas. We can all agree to disagree on how it goes, but we all know that there's love for Katie. He's literally like, we all are here for the same reason. We're all doing the same thing. Like, and I liked that in that moment because I was just like, you're right, dude. Like, they're all bickering and I'm like, Michael A knows. He's like, Thomas is probably going to go home. Like, we all don't need to fucking bicker and hate each other over this.
So I do think that Thomas probably did feel very ostracized by the house, whether it was like called for or not. Those other men were very clearly ganging up on him, and like, good guy or bad guy, like that can't be a comfortable feeling to like know that everyone in the house is talking about you when you're out on your fucking jogs, hurdling fences. All of the men are talking about what a piece of shit you are and using the word manipulative, and like, as granted, it's very different because one was like Brittany with the sex work, but like we've known that this shit carries with people after the show, and all it takes is like, once again, I'm not defending Thomas because I do think that he is a manipulator and like did gaslight her in some situations, but like, I've also been a person where sometimes I just can't get out of my own way and like I don't communicate myself properly and like I'm taken the wrong way. And then it's a cycle of trying to fix what I've said. And then I'm flustered because I feel bad and like whatever else. So I am sympathetic to like what he's going through to a degree because I was pissed at how the women treated Heather and like how the women ganged up and did whatever. And like, I have to keep that same energy where I think that all of the men ganging up on one person is fucked. Right. But like, I think that the entire house ganging up on anybody is kind of fucked. Like that messes with anybody's emotions. You know what I mean? Like that's never a good situation to be in.
Yeah.
Especially considering like he didn't do anything to the men when you think about it. He like said some shit they didn't like, but he didn't like do anything to them.
No.
And they're all so hell-bent on taking him down. It's crazy.
The men are actively, well, because again, it's because the men, like watching. So it is interesting watching, you know, The Bachelorette versus The Bachelor, because the women too can do this and do all of this like stuff. But the men, it's also much more competitive, and they really do have to do that because the way the nature of these men, especially because half of them usually play sports at some time in their life, you know, everything is a competition intensely. And obviously the show is a literal competition. So they're all sitting there being like getting so hyper focused that it's like, of course they're gonna. They're
To
going to
me,
gang
it's
up
like
whenever they really have to take someone out.
when the women behave that way, it's just considered catty and bitchy. And when the men behave that way, it's like commendable and deemed as them being protective. But at the end of the day, like sometimes you're just an asshole, regardless of what your intention is. Like sometimes you're just a dick. And I think that like we kind of got into this earlier with like the men kind of letting Katie make her own deal. Like, and we'll get into it because I was just reminded about Katie's speech at the rose ceremony. And like, I really didn't, I have mixed feelings about that too. Because at the end of the day, Thomas is just a fucking guy. Like, you can just kick him off the show. Like, it doesn't need to be a fucking... From everybody's standpoint, from Katie's and the rest of the men, like, it doesn't need to be a spectacle. If he's that big of a piece of shit, then, like, goodbye. Goodbye. It's reality TV. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Who fucking cares?
Well, good thing then, because at the rose ceremony, we get the lovely, lovely exit of Thomas. But... I don't. I'm with you. But okay, we're at the rose ceremony.
Yes.
Fuck all the rest of the time because it literally doesn't matter.
Wait,
Michael
before we move on, because we were talking about Michael A. Guys, I got my L4 project merch.
Yes! Stand up, please.
Here it is.
Ooh, cute!
Here it
Everybody
is.
Go look on the YouTube. Yes, Mala Queen. Yes.
And I got a mug. Look how cute this mug is.
It's so cute. The mug is really
fucking cute. And I ordered it literally last Monday while it was shipping, so it got here in less than a week. Just for your knowledge, listeners.
Hell yes, everyone.
Fast shipping.
We love Michael A. We
so
love
much.
Michael A. Shout out, darling, who has his rose.
I love you, Michael.
Connor B and Tre have their roses too.
Yes.
So the first rose went to Hunter. Then we went to Greg, Justin, Brendan, Andrew S, Aaron, Mikey, James, Josh, Courtney, Andrew M. And then this is when she calls Thomas's name, but it dramatically cuts to commercial. Right. And then we return, and he is walking down, and the only thing about all this that I was like truly obsessed with was when he steps up and she, like true clockwork, like steps backwards. Like that was beautiful. And great cinema. That was beautiful cinema to watch because it was fluid. It was like he was close and she was like, nope. Like backing on up.
It seemed very organic and just well done. Well choreographed.
Yes.
But also organic. So
whereas the speech itself felt like she had said it 12,000 million times in the mirror. She rehearsed it with Caitlin and Tasha. She was... I think that, again, we've talked about how I think aware Katie is of just being the Bachelorette, and I think this was something that she wanted. And again, she's a fan of the show, and I think that, so this is being compared already online to the podium moment with Hannah B.
Yes.
And y'all better fucking put some respect on Hannah B, okay? Like, I know that Hannah B is all her whatever bullshit right now, but in that moment, in that season, on that episode, she was our queen. And that being said, the podium, like that stuff,
the podium was organic. That was fucking real.
It was
that was a real moment.
Much more real. This was Katie preparing to walk into the rose ceremony and do this to Thomas. This was not Luke showing up randomly, spooking Hannah and her yelling at him and him pressuring her and her being like, the fuck you, like that. Like this was a completely different situation. So I understand the hashtag girl boss sentiment behind both of them, but it's like this was not the same.
So
and
well, my feelings are like mixed because I love the fact that there was a power play. Like I love the fact that she was like, like I'm gonna call you out on something. But I thought that like theory great, execution very poor, and felt very forced. And I agree with you. I've been seeing the comparison, and there's a very big different thing with like Hannah or Luke P badgering Hannah B. And Hannah B being like, okay, fine. And like picking up the podium and like cutting him out. And then there's this whole other moment because like the men had to step in because he really wouldn't let up. And it's like, At what point were the producers going to have to step in? Like, that was like a very legitimate, like a very real thing that kind of just like snowballed out of hand. And like you said, this seemed rehearsed. This seemed forced. And it's like, I don't know.
She wanted that moment. She wanted that speech.
And that I like Katie so much, and like I don't want to say this makes me like her less because it doesn't affect my view of her overall, but like I did not like this about her. I did not like this moment because it's like, you wanted to humiliate this man, and like for what? So you can have like a viral moment. Like that seemed like, I don't like that. Like that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not a fan of that. Especially because, like, sure, like I've said multiple times, I think Thomas is a piece of shit. Like, I don't think Thomas is a good guy. Do I think that he deserves this, like, crazy treatment on television? No. How many guys sweet talk you and tell lies at the bar? Like, just fucking leave them there.
Yep. Yeah, just send him home. It would have been just as fine if she held that last rose. If she held that last rose and was like, actually, this final rose is going to someone else. Goodbye. And just didn't tell them. And that, honestly, that would have been a really fucking hilarious cliffhanger for the men. Just being like, sorry, actually, all of you are going home. This is the final rose. And like, the final rose is going to someone that's not in this room. And they'd all be like, what? But yeah, so she says, because this is what she says. She's like, you told me things I wanted to hear, but what I learned tonight is you're selfish, manipulative, and a liar. And so basically she's like, so you have to leave. And it's just like, all right.
So your Bachelor audition ends here. And it's like, if that, and like I said,
yes, that's right.
If that was his Bachelor audition, that was the worst Bachelor audition of all time. That was the worst of all time. No Bachelor audition is ever successful when someone says, I want to be the Bachelor. Like, it clearly wasn't a good audition. So, like, it wasn't even real. Anyone who was worth their salt of those men, and I would like to cite Andrew S. Don't really know him that well. Excited to get to know him better. But, like, any of those men who felt confident in their position there would not have fucking cared about Thomas. They would have been like, he's a fool. He's the jester of all of this, and like will weed himself out. Like this is not a thing to worry about.
Yep. But anyway, then she sends home Thomas, Christian, David, and Connor C. And I'm bummed to see David go because David was so sweet and cute, and Christian was super hot.
Christian and David.
I heard Connor C was Trumper, so whatever. I don't know, but
I also don't remember anything about Connor
I hope that they're on Paradise like really badly because they both. Because he had nothing. Yeah. He was a baseball player. So that's like the only thing I remember. Bye. So yeah, and then she goes. So then this part is funny to me. And I actually thought this was kind of like actually cute. Again, like seeing Katie with Blake is the one time I felt like I'm seeing her kind of unscripted. Like I think that she thinks really hard about what she wants to do with the men in the house, but the Blake throw in was like, oh, whoa. And she's getting a little more flustered. And so when she goes to his room,
this was hilarious.
First of all, the fact that this man answers the door naked, it could have been a producer, it could have been literally anybody, but he still chose to do it naked.
Well, like, because if it's like a producer or if it's anybody without a camera, you just say, I need to put some pants on, and then you call it a day. But the fact that like the cameras are there and it's clear that they're rolling, you're like, we're live. Like, I have to go put pants on.
This. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not as like candid.
Do you have a robe?
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. And I think that it's also funny because they mentioned it on Tayshia's season that he like loves to sleep naked, or I think it was on the Men Tell All maybe, but he has mentioned that he sleeps naked, loves to be naked, and so this is so funny to me that like this tracks. So and then so she's like waiting outside the door, is laughing, and this is when Olivia looks to me and goes, this is like a romantic comedy moment, which I kind of agree, like it was good. But she's like, why did you take so long? What are you doing? And he goes, I didn't put a mitt in my mouth. I don't have a robe. And it's like, you did put a mitt in your mouth.
No, he said he did.
I actually kind of wish they would have kissed here. It would have been. No, that's what I know. But he was saying I didn't put he said it in a like sarcasm, like I didn't just put a mitt in my mouth.
Oh no, I thought he just like flat out admitted I had to put a mitt in my mouth.
No, he said it like that. I swear it was the.
I'm gonna go back and watch
he was trying to be like,
okay. I believe you sort of, but I feel confident that he said the other words.
But it was that like little classic the sarcasm. She's like, "What did you take it so long?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't have to go put a mitt in my mouth. See, that's it." But then he goes, "I didn't have a robe."
It's funny that you said that because when I remember the interaction and like the way that I heard it was I heard him say like I didn't have a robe and like I had to put a mitt in my mouth. Like it sounded like not sarcastic but like sheepish. Yeah. So now I want to go back and watch. I'm curious which one of us is right.
Yes, we'll have to figure out. But either way, she fully woke this bitch up. It's probably like the middle of the goddamn night, and she asks obviously to join the house. He says yes, and then he locks himself out of his room.
Classic,
which was fun.
Amazing. And that's the type of moments that I want out of reality TV is like actual real shit. Like that was very clearly like he was not expecting her. Because if Thomas got back to the guys for discussion at 12 o'clock, that rose ceremony must have gone until 4. Must have.
Yeah.
So Blake wasn't expecting anybody, let alone like Katie in her rose ceremony dress. Like, if I guarantee you when someone knocked on the door, he's like, oh, maybe it's a producer. Like, maybe I have to get ready for something. Maybe I have, like, an ITM. Like, maybe my call time has changed. Like, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
But to see Katie standing there in that dress, you know that he was not expecting it. And I live for moments like that on this show. Because they're so few and far between. Everything is so fake.
I agree. Completely agree. Well... That's that. And then the outro of this, I missed the preview because I was somewhere else in my apartment, but I don't care. The outro is all of the girls trying the peppers, all of the Caitlin and Tayshia and Katie trying the pepper, and they all take nibbles and just like freak out. So yeah, that's that. Good shit.
Who'd you pick this week?
Wow, good question. God, I'm getting annoyed because I'm really starting to believe that Katie ends up with no one. Okay. So, like...
You can vote for no one. I'll let you pick no one. I'll say that that's a viable option. Yeah, why not? It's happened before.
Okay. Well, honestly, from this episode, I'm going to pick Michael A. still because he was, again, like the only person that was showing any genuine, like,
real
actual
shit.
Forward movement interest instead of freaking the fuck out about Thomas. But yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like no one. I just feel like she's not.
So Michael A or no one. Okay. So mine, I said last week that I had a feeling that my opinion was going to change because I didn't want to spoil it for anyone who was living under a rock and didn't know that Blake was coming. But I feel like it's going to be Blake. I actually feel like her and Blake are really going to hit it off.
No, me too. Wow. I want to change because I completely forgot about Blake in this moment. I was just thinking, I don't know how I forgot about him already.
Well, because he hasn't like participated yet. No, he like just got introduced to the process in the last 30 seconds of the episode. So
no, I definitely think she has more natural chemistry with Blake than a lot of these people. And yeah, we have our own feelings about Blake and blah 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 and all those other bachelorettes, but he did not have natural chemistry with Tayshia or Claire. He was forcing all of that stuff. So this to me at least feels like at least we're going to get maybe an authentic version of Blake instead of the Leo putting on the show of Claire and Tayshia because he wants to be on TV. Like, you know, and so I guess this time is like him probably feeling the process, like being like, oh, honestly, he's a fucking idiot probably. And it's like, I believe in the process, you know, even from the Claire and Tayshia bullshit. So, well, I mean, whatever.
In his defense,
yeah, okay, I'm with you.
I actually could see Blake believing in the process because the process worked on the 2 seasons. The 2 bachelorettes that he was with are still with their person that they chose. So Blake has seen it work.
Yep.
Twice, firsthand.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone who's gonna believe in the process, it should be Blake.
Yeah, on it. Well, all right. Great, I'm with you on Blake.
Votes have changed.
But in the meantime, In the meantime, everybody, while I go look at the Instagram, because I posted Blake's chart like with Katie's in the same post, so you can kind of like swipe back and forth and see. Because honestly, their synastry is really cute. He is a Leo sun, Pisces moon with a Virgo rising and a Virgo Mercury. So he has Mercury in the first house, which is where Mercury joys. Mercury likes to be in the first house the most because generally it makes somebody very like communicative, active, like an active mind, trying to be very forward with what they're saying. Memes are coming. And other than that, yeah, go rate and review and subscribe and do all of the things.
Yeah.
Do the Roses Align everywhere. Find us. Love us.
As always, the links
Here
will be
we are.
below.
Love y'all. Thanks for listening, and see ya next week for whatever or for our first Blake entry into the house, and we're gonna see him probably get ostracized too.
Can't wait.
Woo-hoo.
All right. See you guys next week.